somebody broke into the cab of my van while I was asleep in the back, and on hot days the cab gets about 20 degrees hotter than the house does. I actually found that the darker cabinets were much harder to keep clean. Hi there, my name is Brenda. I did a tour with Tiny Home Tours about 2 years ago, and I have learned so much from living on the road. I've changed a bunch of things in the van, and I thought I would take you along on a little updated tour to show you around now. So one unfortunate thing that did happen to me since I last toured with you guys was somebody broke into the cab of my van while I was asleep in the back. It did end up affecting me a little bit more than I had hoped it would, so I've actually added a bunch of security features to the van since then, including these solar power motion activated lights on the outside of the van. I always have those turned on when I'm parked up by myself anywhere now, typically not when I'm with friends. I also added alarms to every door and additional locks, bolts, chains to every single door. So I feel a little bit more safe sleeping at night now. Another fun project that I did out in the desert in Arizona was adding some light bars to the van just to make it look a little bit more tough and rugged. So I've got 2 here in the front and 1 on the top. I also exposed the spare tire on the back of the van and added a storage box there for all my paddleboard and snorkeling gear. And I removed the running boards on the side of the van, so it really reveals the lift that it had installed. So it looks really, really dope now. All right, welcome back to my garage. This is actually a huge improvement that I've made since the last tour. I took a little bit of time to perfect my outdoor gear setup, so getting the perfect camp chair, getting the right awning, etc. But once I really honed that down, I was like, I need to make custom storage for everything, so it's not just in one heaping pile in the garage that's frustrating to go through every time. So I actually made this 3-tier storage compartment that has a special spot for everything that belongs in my garage. So I've got my yoga mats, this is a table and where my rug normally goes, this is where my camp chair goes. All my backpacking gear, I've actually added that since the last time I saw you as well, because I've picked up backpacking as a hobby. This is really, really nice, really efficient. Everything stays organized, not clean, as you can see, sand everywhere, but it's a big improvement. A couple things that I have gotten rid of that I just learned I wasn't using much was the keyboard that I had stored back here. I literally carried it around for 2 years and never got it out once. So I did leave that at my dad's house the last time I was there. Also, all of the shower equipment that I had outdoor gear set up, I had indoor gear set up, I had all sorts of stuff. And now all I have is one solar shower bag because I've just found that it's really, really easy to use rec centers, swimming pools, gyms, etc. on the road for showers, and that's no big deal, not worth the storage space. Over at the entrance here, I used to have an outdoor table set up that I could just fold down, and I said sit here and drink wine and coffee, but I really never did that. So I decided to take that down and install a Doggie Gate here instead. So this actually dismounts and folds and stores right here, which is fabulous, and it helps keep my dog from just running off into oblivion because he is definitely a runner. So that has been an absolute game changer, and I think it looks pretty too. And since I did take the running boards off, I actually had to make a little step here into the van because it's quite the lunge. So I did that as a double purpose storage box as well. So I keep all my sweaters and stuff in there in the wintertime and tank tops and swimsuits in the summertime. I've been really surprised by the social network that I've gathered on the road. The last time I did this video, I was 6 months in. I was pretty much quarantining for family's sake, so I was not being social at all. But since then, I've met one person who introduced me to the next, who introduced me to the next, and I've gone to a few van gatherings. We're actually at a van gathering here in Baja, Mexico right now. And there are so many incredible people out here on the road. I know that's a common fear of people is you know, being alone, having the solitude, getting lonely, which is a very different thing. But it's not something you need to be worried about if that's something you want to pursue. There are people out here craving friendship and craving connectivity, and you can find them if you want them. One thing I completely forgot to mention in my first tour was my hammock, which is quite a unique factor, I think, in my van. I actually chose to put it here due to a lack of decision. I kind of wanted to leave this space open in case I decided to add a closet or a bench seat or even a shower someday. I wanted to live in the space a little bit before I made that final decision. So I just plopped a hammock in it, and it turns out it's one of my favorite things. I sit in it all the time. I lounge in it. It is super comfy. I can hook my feet under it and like sprawl out. It is just fabulous. And we actually added 5 additional hooks around the front of the van here so that the hammock can go in 7 different positions. So I can face outward, face inward, sprawl out, whatever I want to do. One thing that I've learned since last talking to you is that this wall makes such a difference in temperature control. I have a thermometer in the house area and in the cab area, and on hot days, the cab gets about 20 degrees hotter than the house does. On cold days, it's about 20 degrees colder. It is wild. So if you're wanting a little bit more control insulation from the cab, I recommend putting in a wall. It does sacrifice a little bit of social space. Some people have the swivel chairs that you can turn around and have a little gang gather together here. So I can't really host people in my van because of this, but to me, that's worth it. I also recently had a friend who made a wall like this, but it was a 3-part divider, so it slid into itself. I don't know what you call that, but it made it so the passenger seat is actually accessible as well. So if I was to do it again, I would probably do it that way. About a year into working full-time on the road, traditional 9-to-5 job, I was working with this hammock as my desk the whole time, and I thought it would be nice to have an actual designated desk space. So I did build one hidden back here. I'll show you how I set it up in a minute. But if we're being honest, in a year and a half of having it installed, I've probably used it less than 10 times. So take that into consideration. It would probably work great for some people, but having to set it up every day is inconvenient to me, so I just don't use it. So this is how the desk is completely set up. There is a second monitor even hid back here that's really easy. It just plugs straight into the laptop. Doesn't need an individual power source. So it's a really, really cool setup. Again, it just takes like 30 seconds to set up and it's not worth it to me. Well, this is Ranger. He's been actually napping this entire time, so just thought I'd introduce him again quickly. He is my 10-year-old mini pincher Chihuahua, maybe mix pup, and my best friend. But while we are here, I wanted to talk about a couple changes that I made in the kitchen area. I actually got rid of my cassette toilet and turned it into a pantry. Everybody calm down. I sanitized it, I bleached it. It is completely clean in there, but it is so much storage space. I've got 2 little shelves here of food. I just decided that the toilet took up way too much space for the value that it brought. The other thing that I changed here is getting rid of the toaster oven that I used to have. It, again, just drew a lot of electrical power and that wasn't worth it to me. So I took it out and just storing my dishes and my stove here instead. The other thing I mentioned in my first video is that I added this little plank here for Ranger to jump in and out of the bed, but I didn't mention that it actually works really well as a second seat. So since I did say with the pivoting passenger seat, I don't have that access since I installed the wall, I actually do have a little bit of entertaining space. Somebody can sit in the hammock, I can sit here, we can sit in the bed, etc. When I first hit the road in van life, I was so excited to see all the things, go to all the places, have all the experiences. So I was bopping around, doing hikes during my lunch break, driving before work, driving after work, like just go, go, go. And I'd say within a few months that actually shifted and it's just not sustainable to me to live like that. I know some people, you know, their goal is to go see all the national parks, and so they just rooms from spot to spot to spot and do it and burn out in a year, maybe 2. But I have definitely chosen it to be more of a lifestyle that I am just living similar to how you're living in your comfy living room right now with a couch, which I am very envious of, by the way, enjoy it. But I definitely just more sit in spots, you know, 7-10 days, sometimes 2 weeks in one spot and just enjoy it. And then when I move maybe an hour or 2 away. I'm not like go see all the places. I'm just enjoying the experience slowly. You may have noticed my van looks a little different than the last time you saw it as well. The tile has changed, the paint has changed, the plants have changed. That is all true. I actually chose to go with adhesive sticker tile instead of installing real ceramic tile, mainly because I have commitment issues and I wanted to be able to change the stickers out when I wanted. So this is actually the 3rd draft of stickers. I do like it a lot, but it's probably time to change it just to get a little refresh. But they're really, really easy to install. You can use wallpaper too. Really like that decision. I have painted my cabinets twice since I saw you last. They were white in the first video. I painted them in almost black, like a dark brown, and now they're kind of a beigey color. I actually found that the darker cabinets were much harder to keep clean. They showed a lot more dirt and scuffs and stuff. So that would be my advice, is maybe stick to lighter cabinets. Surprise, surprise. And the plants. One of the first questions I always get is, are those plants real? They all started off real. I had planted, I think there's 80 something different plants that I stole from my sister's garden, but they died off one by one, and I'm quite happy they did actually, because it took so much time every day to water them. I had a little squirt bottle. It was really annoying. So they are all faux plants at this point. The only real ones that I have are on the counter and a hung plant by my hammock. In the first video, I bragged a little bit about how cool it was that I had everything stuck to the counter with Velcro and fishing line, but I have been changed. Museum putty is where it's at. I use museum putty. You can get it on Amazon for like $2. I use it everywhere. It's under all my plants. It's under everything on my counters. Nothing moves. It is fantastic. So highly recommend that transition. One of the most impactful changes that I've done thus far is upgrading to Starlink. Not sure if you've heard of it yet, but it is Elon Musk's satellite internet. You'll see this wire going down. That is because I actually have the dish mounted on my roof. I installed a pivot mount up there. So it's really, really easy. I just open my skylight, pop the dish up there, and then when I want to take it down to drive, I just open the skylight and store it underneath my pillows here on the bed. But it is so, so helpful considering, again, I work the 9-to-5 job. I need good service no matter where I am. And now I really don't have to worry at all if I have cell signal anywhere. So that's changed my life in Montana. I'm down here in Baja, Mexico right now, and I simply would not be here without Starlink. So highly recommend that. It is a little bit on the expensive side. I think it's about $600 for the dish and $135 a month for the service, but again, worth it to be able to live in more remote locations. The other downside to it is it takes a lot of battery. While we're talking about battery, that's another thing I have upgraded. In the first tour, I had 200 amp hour, I'm pointing here because my batteries are under the bed. I had 200 amp hour AGM batteries, and I upgraded to lithium batteries, which was life-changing. So I now have 200 amp hour lithium batteries, but since getting Starlink, I'm actually wanting to upgrade those again and get 400 amp hours because I can only work probably 2 or 3 days on the batteries before I need to run my engine to charge my batteries more. And I am the kind of person who likes to be camped up somewhere for 10 days at a time. Just for reference, I do have 320 watts of solar on the roof, so that is what is charging those 200 amp hours at present. I did start off with just a Japanese sleeping mat here to sleep on. It's about a 3-inch thick cotton foam pad, I guess. I don't even know what's in it. But that worked for me for about 1.5 years, and then I decided to add a memory foam topper just to give a little bit extra comfort. I haven't chose to go with the real mattress that I trimmed down because I need it to be flexible so I can prop up the couch like this. So it is still the Japanese mat with a memory foam topper on top, and that is plenty comfy for me. You may also notice that I no longer have the mason jars up in the kitchen area. It is all just exposed groceries at this point because the mason jars tended to be a little top heavy and were falling a lot when I drove on really washboard roads. So that wasn't worth it to me. You kind of have to be strategic with what you choose to put on those shelves because this edge is only, I think, 1.5 inches or 2 inches high. So the center of gravity has to be below that. Another thing that I really like about my van in particular that I didn't mention in the first video is that it is a passenger van. When I first bought it, it had all of the seats in it that we had to strip out, but it meant that I have windows at 360 degrees around the van, and that makes me feel so much more safe. I actually don't understand how people have entire walls of their vans blocked off, and if you hear a noise or you hear somebody coming or the dog starts barking, you can't see what's out there. I can see everything that's out there in all these different windows around my van. I also made these Reflectix insulated covers for them so I can just shove them in there to get privacy at night, and it actually blocks out a lot of temperature as well. So I just sewed, well, this was black fabric, it's faded by now, and beige fabric, and there's Reflectix material on the inside. Since I did get rid of the toaster oven and I'm now storing my dishes over there, I had this space free, so I have actually now converted it into my camera gear storage because I started my own YouTube channel. You're welcome to hop over there if you want to follow along on some of the adventures Ranger and I do. It is literally called Brenda and Ranger on YouTube. So that has been a really fun hobby that I've picked up in the last 2 years. When it comes to carbon monoxide and smoke detectors, I don't know why they do combinations. In my last video and for the first probably 2 years, I had the combination smoke alarm and carbon monoxide detector, but since smoke rises and carbon monoxide falls, it makes no sense to me. So I've actually split them up now. I have the smoke alarm up here near the top of the van, and the carbon monoxide is down near the floor of the van. I do have a couple projects on the docket for the summer when I get back up to Portland where my dad has a garage. I can do some good work. The first one I kind of already mentioned is that I'm going to upgrade my batteries again. The other thing I'm going to do is install a diesel heater. I may be one of the last people to still be living off of a Mr. Buddy propane portable heater, but I think I'm going to install the diesel one and maybe live a little bit more in winter areas this coming winter. And for aesthetic reasons, I need to paint the topper of my van again. You may have noticed earlier in the video it is quite discolored. The Sedona and Moab dirts have really gotten into it and made it more of a pinky color, so it's time to make that white again, and I'm gonna paint the bottom black just to make it look a little bit more rugged. All right, that wraps up my second tour with Tiny Home Tours. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to catch the first one, which actually goes into a lot more detail, go ahead and click the link down in the description box below. And if you'd like to follow me and Ranger's daily activities, we do share a lot over on Instagram. It is The Road Through My Eyes on Instagram. And again, our YouTube is Brenda and Ranger. I hope you enjoyed the second tour, and we will see you guys later. Okay, I kind of like the casual. No. Ready? Rude. I actually haven't done this in so long.
Oh no, did it break?
Get that bloopers. You know, so much blooper material. Let's do that. Oh, of course it breaks when I'm on camera, Sage. Come hang out with me in my van.